Imagine you suddenly have $1,000 sitting in your bank account. Right now, just dropped in there out of nowhere. What's the first thing that comes to mind? Be honest. For some people, the answer is almost automatic. New shoes, a weekend trip, that thing they've been eyeing online for 3 months. The money feels like permission. Permission to spend, to enjoy, to treat yourself. And look, there's nothing wrong with that instinct. We're human. We like good things. But for another group of people, the reaction is completely different. They don't see $1,000 as something to spend. They see it as something to deploy, like a small soldier they can send out to work on their behalf, quietly in the background, while they go on living their life. Same $1,000, two completely different ways of seeing it. And here's the thing, that difference, that tiny mental shift in how you perceive money, that is not just a personality trait. It's not luck. It's not even income. It is the single most important mindset gap between people who build wealth and people who wonder where all their money went. So today, we're going to break down exactly what that mindset looks like, why most of us were never taught it, and how you can start shifting the way you think about every single dollar that passes through your life.
Here's a question. Growing up, what did the adults around you say about money? Maybe you heard things like, money doesn't grow on trees, or save for a rainy day. Or maybe the message was more indirect, like watching your parents stress every time a bill came in, or getting the sense that money was something you chased, never something that worked for you. Most of us were taught a very basic two-step formula: work hard, earn money, spend money, repeat until retirement. And if you're lucky, maybe you save a little on the side. The problem with that formula is that it keeps you on a hamster wheel. You trade time for money, you spend that money, then you need more money, so you trade more time, and around it goes. Now here's where it gets psychologically interesting. There's a concept called the hedonic treadmill. It's the human tendency to return to a baseline level of happiness no matter what happens to us. Win the lottery? After a few months, you feel normal again. Get a raise? Within a year, your expenses have risen to match it, and you feel the same financial pressure you always did. This is why people who earn $50,000 feel broke, and people who earn $200,000 sometimes feel broke too. The number changes, but the relationship with money doesn't. And that relationship, the way you emotionally and mentally interact with money, is everything. The common mistake isn't spending money. It's seeing money only as something to be spent, rather than something that can be transformed. Let's get into the actual concept, and I promise it's simpler than it sounds. There are really only two things you can do with money. You can consume it, or you can deploy it. When you consume money, it turns into an experience or an object, a nice dinner, a new phone, a subscription you'll forget about. These things have value, but after a short time, the money is gone and it stops working for you. When you deploy money, it becomes an asset. An asset is anything that puts more money back into your pocket over time. Stocks, real estate, a business, even a skill you invest in that raises your earning power. The money doesn't disappear. It transforms into something that generates more money. Think of it like this. Consuming money is like burning a log for warmth. Great in the moment, necessary sometimes, but once it's ash, it's ash. Deploying money is like planting a tree. It takes time. You don't feel it immediately, but one tree becomes two, then four, then a forest, and that forest keeps giving you shade and firewood forever. Here's a real example. Say you get that $1,000 bonus at work. Option 1, you spend it on a short weekend getaway. Fun, memorable, gone. Option 2, you put it into an index fund, a simple investment that tracks the overall stock market. Historically, the U.S. stock market has returned roughly 10% per year on average. That $1,000 left alone for 30 years becomes almost $17,000. You didn't do anything extra. Money simply did the work for you. Now imagine doing that not just once, but consistently. Every bonus, every tax refund, every raise that doesn't get swallowed by lifestyle inflation. Suddenly, you're not just earning money, you're building a machine that earns money for you. This is what people mean when they talk about passive income. It's not magic, it's just math combined with patience and the right mindset.
Why wealthy people think differently. Not better, just differently. Here's where the psychology gets really fascinating. It's tempting to think wealthy people are just smarter or luckier or more disciplined. But the real difference is often more subtle. It's about what they were taught to see. There's a concept in psychology called mental models, the internal frameworks we use to make sense of the world. Most of us were given a mental model of money that looks like this. Money is a reward for work, and rewards are meant to be enjoyed. But people who build wealth over time tend to operate with a different mental model. Money is a tool, and tools are meant to be used strategically to build more tools. Here's an example that makes this vivid. Two people get a $5,000 tax refund. Person A thinks, I worked hard this year, I deserve this, I'm going to treat myself. They book a vacation, upgrade their TV, and feel great for a few weeks. Person B thinks, this is capital. Where can I deploy it to generate a return? They put it into an investment account, maybe buy some dividend-paying stocks, and quietly forget about it. 5 years later, Person A has the memories and the old TV. Person B has a growing portfolio that's starting to produce small but real returns, returns they can reinvest, compound, and grow. Neither person is a villain, neither is foolish, but their mental models led them to completely different financial destinations. There's also something called delayed gratification, and research consistently shows that the ability to resist an immediate reward in favor of a bigger future reward is one of the strongest predictors of long-term financial success. It's not about being joyless, it's about understanding the true cost of now versus the true value of later. When you spend $200 impulsively today, you're not just spending $200, you're spending whatever that $200 could have become. At 10% annual growth over 20 years, that impulse buy cost you over $1,300. That's the hidden price tag most people never see.
How to actually start shifting the mindset. Okay, so we understand the concept. Now, how do you actually live it? The first thing is to stop thinking in dollars and start thinking in assets. Every time you're about to spend money, ask yourself one simple question. Is this consuming money or deploying it? You don't have to choose deploying every single time. That would make life miserable. But just asking the question creates awareness, and awareness is where change begins. The second thing is to pay yourself first. This is one of the oldest pieces of financial advice, but it's old because it works. Before you pay your bills, before you buy groceries, before you do anything, set aside a percentage of your income and move it to an investment or savings vehicle. Even if it's just 5% to start, even if it feels tiny, the habit matters more than the amount in the beginning. Third, resist lifestyle inflation. This is the killer that nobody talks about. Every time your income goes up, there's enormous social and psychological pressure to upgrade your life proportionally. Bigger apartment, nicer car, better restaurants. But if every raise just gets eaten by a fancier lifestyle, your wealth never actually grows. The goal is to let your lifestyle grow slowly while your assets grow fast. And finally, understand the difference between price and cost. The price of something is the number on the tag. The cost is what you give up to get it. Not just the money, but the time, the opportunity, the future growth that money could have generated. Wealthy people are often surprisingly frugal, not because they're cheap, but because they understand the true cost of things in a way most people simply never learn to see. Start small. Automate where you can. Give your money a job before it finds one on its own, because left unguided, money has a funny way of disappearing on things you barely remember. You now know that the money itself is neutral. It doesn't care what you do with it. It has no loyalty, no agenda, no preference. It simply responds to your choices. The wealthy don't have a secret bank or a magical formula. They have a mindset, a way of seeing money not as a finish line, but as a starting point. Not as something to be consumed, but as something to be grown. And here's the most important thing I want you to take from this video. That mindset is not genetic. It was learned, which means it can be unlearned and relearned by anyone at any income level, starting from wherever you are today. The gap between rich and poor isn't always about how much money you make. It's about what happens to the money after it arrives. Two people can earn the same salary for 30 years and end up in completely different financial realities simply because of the choices they made with each dollar that passed through their hands. So the next time money shows up in your life, a bonus, a refund, a gift, pause for just a second before you do anything with it and ask yourself, what do I want this money to become? Because that pause, that one small moment of intention before the automatic reaction kicks in, that is where wealth building actually begins. Not in the stock market, not in a spreadsheet, not in some complicated strategy. Right there, in your mind, in how you see the money. Thanks for watching. If this shifted something for you, share it with someone who needs to hear it, because the best investment you can make is in the people around you.